Fáilte good news for Armagh. It's Christmas and I love Christmas. I love the lights, the trees, the food, the presents, the singing, the food, the Christmas jumpers, the food, the Christmas cracker jokes like what did Santa do when he went speed dating? Pulled a cracker. Did I say food? I love it. I love all of Christmas. It's amazing. But sometimes for all of us, though, Christmas is not a happy occasion. It's not a season of great joy. The lights and the trees and the presents remind you of actually financial strain that you're under. The time of year may bring back memories of those that have passed away. The food on the table you mightn't be able to eat because you're sick and you can't keep it down. This might be a season of loneliness and depression where you have no one to pull a cracker with. And as for singing, you just don't want to sing. In C.S. Lewis's Narnia story, he said this: sometimes it's always winter, but never Christmas. But I want you to know that this year, the real meaning and the deeper story of Christmas brings hope. Docus. We need hope. And you know, the opposite of joy, it's not sorrow. It's actually hopelessness. We need hope. And when I use the word hope, I'm not meaning wishful thinking, by the way, but I mean a deep confidence that we can have. Christmas is all about this real hope. In the Bible, when Matthew tells the Christmas story, he does it by describing 7 predictions about Jesus' coming into the world, and they were fulfilled. God had told the world 700 years before that Jesus would come, and now it was happening. And this is what Matthew is saying, that Jesus actually and historically was born into this world, split in time into BC and AD. Bart Ehrman, who's not a Christian, but a historical scholar, when talking about the fact that Jesus historically existed, this is what he said. This is not even an issue for scholars of antiquity. The reason for thinking Jesus existed is because he is abundantly attested to in the early sources, he says. If you want to go where the evidence goes, I think atheists have done themselves disservice in jumping on the bandwagon of mysticism, because frankly, it makes you look foolish. That's what he said. Like, you see what he is saying. It's a historical fact that Jesus existed, and to think otherwise is foolish. What this means, though, is that Christianity is not a philosophy. It's not something made up in the mind of a man. It's not made up like the Gruffalo. It is true and it's based in history. It is a movement which is every bit as literal as the historical rise of the Roman Empire, said David Goody. And if you open yourself to the fact that Jesus did exist, that opens you up to real hope based upon history. Hope based upon what is true and real to us. Because each one of these predictions that Matthew talks about come out of a time of hopelessness, out of periods of darkness and despair in history, but Jesus is offered to them and to us as the answer to our hopelessness. And so what this means is that for those that are lonely and alone, who have no one to pull a cracker with, God would say to you today that you're not alone. That Jesus is called Emmanuel, God with us. And that it's by trusting in Jesus that you come to gain the greatest friend who never leaves you or never forsakes you. For those that life is squeezed into a dark place through financial worries or 101 other things that have got on top of you, Jesus is the light at the end of the tunnel. He's light. That's how he's described here. For those who think that with all going on, with COVID and everything, that things are out of control, Jesus in Matthew here is described as a great ruler. He is in control and you can trust him. For those who think no one understands my situation of loss or despair, Jesus here in Matthew is called the Nazarene. He actually lived in this world, in a poor town, worked a hard job and experienced our life. And he understands and knows your fears and your tears. For those that have been through tragedy, like what Herod afflicted and that caused such weeping in Matthew 2, Jesus went through the greatest tragedy. For the reality of Christmas is that Jesus, who is God, became into this world, became a human to go to the greatest tragedy, the cross. There's a man called St. Augustine, and this is what he said, that man's maker was made man that the ruler of the stars might nurse at his mum, that the fountain might thirst, that the light might become into darkness, that the way may be tired on his journey, that truth might be accused, that the teacher beaten, the foundation be suspended on wood, that strength may grow weak, that the healer might be wounded, and that the life might die. Like, can you see who Jesus is? Can you see what he has done? That he has come into this world to die so that we can live. And that means that there's hope. Can you see how much God loves you? That he would do this for you. You're not insignificant. You're not alone. God has come. There is hope, real hope. And this Christmas we are praying that you will find it in the true meaning of Christmas in Jesus Christ. No like Sean Dave, agus slán go fáil.